7 train to Shea Stadium this week. A little more Brie and Chardonnay than you're used to seeing. But all those folks went over to the other side of the street, and the baseball fans have found their way where they belong, to Shea Stadium, where 52,000 came in last night to watch the Mets and the Dodgers. And this afternoon, Game 3 of the series, WB11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball. Today, the Mets play the Los Angeles Dodgers. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Shea Stadium. Gary Cohen and Ron Darling with you today. It's an afternoon game at Shea, but the action really began before 10 o'clock this morning as the Mets rehabbing starting pitcher, where have you heard that before, Pedro Martinez went to work early.
He did. He really looked free and easy, to tell you the truth. He was throwing great. He warmed up, got his legs loose, and he was throwing every single pitch. His fastball, his changeup, his curveball, and he pitched against Ricky Leday this morning, Anderson, Hernandez, and Lastings Millich. And I think it was looked like he was running into midseason form here in September.
He threw about 50 pitches in 4 innings of a simulated game. If you include the warm-up tosses, he threw 75. The media horde got Pedro's comments afterward, and Pedro said he felt absolutely great and is looking forward to making a start either in Florida or Pittsburgh in the coming week.
Yeah, and it's good that it's really a lower extremity problem with that calf, so it has not affected his arm. He's been throwing throughout, so it says his arm feels stronger than ever.
The question is, and Pedro made this point during his post-simulated game press conference, he only threw 7 innings in spring training and came into the season strong. So you figure 3 starts in the regular season here, and he should be ready for October.
It should be enough, and I think him knowing that his arm feels good, that's going to give him a lot of confidence to get through those games. They'll monitor his pitch count, and when he comes out, he should be ready for that probably first game in the playoffs.
So Glavine is back, Pedro's on his way back, and El Duque made his return to the mound in Houston last weekend. A fabulous return after missing a couple of starts with fatigue, and he'll go back to the mound today.
Yeah, he only gave up 1 hit in those 6 innings. He also struck out 6, and the great thing about El Duque, he did have control problems. He walked 6, and that's to be expected because when someone's rusty coming off that start. But all the rehab pitchers, Tom Glavine had a nice effort. El Duque had a nice effort, wants to repeat it today, and of course Pedro throwing on the side. Good news for the Mets.
So El Duque will make the start today against another veteran pitcher, Greg Maddux, who's been rejuvenated since joining the Los Angeles Dodgers. Heath Bell wore a wireless mic during batting practice yesterday. We'll hear what Heath had to say when we come back. Fans arriving here at Shea Stadium. Another big crowd expected. Always a good thing to take mass transit. Folks coming from far and wide, not only to the Mets game today, but to the tennis across the street. Part of our enhanced audio package, Heath Bell wore a microphone during batting practice. Always a little entertaining when you hear what might go on during BP. Let's take a listen to Heath.
Hey, no cursing today. I got a microphone on my butt. I got it. Maybe not. I'll be closing. I'll be making like $4 million. I'll be doing this right here against you, against the Mets. Right, and you'll probably do one of these. Slap, base hit. I'll either get you out or you're gonna do some slap base hit off it. I got a job. I'm gonna be a soccer coach. My daughter. I'm gonna be doing this. I always root for, I like Beckham, so I root for England, but I root for the United States, but I also root for Mexico, because Mexico's only 2 hours away, you know, and it's kind of like, we called it Northern Mexico, it was LA. I got it.
He's got the next career planned up, and he's got to work on those I got it's.
Yeah. I don't hot it.
Oh, he's had a great night on the mound where he makes his living last night with 6 batters retired in a row. We'll see what Maddux and El Duque can do. First pitch coming up.
Orlando Hernandez.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Toyota, a smart way to keep moving forward. By Verizon Online DSL, now at a great low price. By Dodge, you can take life as it comes or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge. By Subway, introducing the play of the day, a regular 6-inch sandwich for only $2.99. by Chevrolet, announcing Chevy Sign and Drive. Visit your local Chevy dealers and leave your checkbook at home. And by Budweiser, bright, crisp, clean, pure. This is Budweiser. This is beer. Mets and Dodgers on a beautiful sunny day at Shea as we check out today's Budweiser pitching matchup. Greg Maddux, 40 years old. Orlando Hernandez, 36 in the book. 41 today in the Dodger media notes. I thought that was very interesting that they took that leap of faith.
They chose to add 5 years to Duque.
The Infinity Dodger lineup for today. Andre Ethier had the day off last night. He's been one of the best rookies in the National League, and a stocked year for rookies in the National League. Dodgers winning last night with predominantly the same lineup as they even up the series, and El Duque will try and get the Mets going again today.
El Duque, one of those rehab starters for the Mets, getting ready here in September for October starts. His first 8 decisions in the postseason were all wins. No one else in Major League history has done that.
Leading off the game for the Los Angeles Dodgers, the shortstop, number 15.
El Duque always completes his warm-up tosses and then throws the ball to Jose Reyes.
Jose Reyes was great, too. He kind of caught it like it was coming at 120 miles an hour to give him lots of confidence.
That's how you pump up your pitcher. Reyes has done it all this year. Now he's working on his motivational skills. Rafael Furcal leads off. El Duque misses high, and we're underway at Shea. El Duque returned to action in Houston on Sunday, allowed just 1 hit over 5 1/3. He walked 6 and lost a very strange game 2-1. And Furcal has a base hit to lead off toward the gap. Green will get over, but Furcal on his way to second, and he will easily move in with a double. So Furcal leads off the ball game with a double to right center.
Well, after missing with that first pitch, just wanted to throw a strike. This one right down the middle.
Number 6.
And Furcal, we saw him last night hit a home run off John Maine. He's got a lot of pop for a smallish shortstop.
So Kenny Lofton will try and move Furcal along. Lofton 2 for 5 in the game last night, and he's had good career numbers against El Duque. 10 for 26. That's a .385 average. And the Mets pinch in at the corners, and Lofton is looking to bunt 1-0. Kenny Lofton playing for his 8th different team in the last 6 years. And you see his numbers against El Duque. And the curveball bunted beautifully to David Wright, who throws on target. Sacrifice successful. 5-4, moving Furcal over to third.
Well, here's a look at the defense brought to you by Washington Mutual. Stop by and experience the WaMu way. Well, this is the lineup that they're going to probably use in the postseason, except for Kelly Stinnett behind the plate. That, of course, would be Paul Lo Duca.
Stinnett making his first start for the Mets since 1995. Began his big league career with the Mets after they got him out of the Cleveland organization in the Rule 5 draft in '94, and Stinnett has been heavily traveled since, and now back at Shea and starting for the Mets again. Nomar Garciaparra infield back up the middle, and El Duque misses with the slider. 1-0. Nomar had a home run last night, his 16th, and those 16 home runs lead the Dodgers. They are dead last in the National League in home runs, but they lead the league in on base percentage. And a good slider. 1-1.
Well, I think you have to be encouraged by the way Orlando Hernandez's stuff has been, throwing 90 miles an hour again, sharp slider, strike, almost striking out 8 people per 9 innings. I mean, just amazing.
I mean, you look at him at this point in his career, and clearly not an overpowering pitcher. So how does a guy like El Duque have 134 strikeouts in 136 innings?
Well, when he gets behind hitters, gets ahead of hitters, he likes to go for the strikeout. So he'll go and try to fish out of that strike zone 2, sometimes even 3 times to get that strikeout.
In a spot where he can use a strikeout, he gets even on Garciaparra. 2-2. Greg Maddux getting set to take the mound here at Shea. You see what El Duque has done lately at home. Spectacular. Two to Nomar. Good get in the chase. It's interesting. You have two pitchers in El Duque and Maddux today, both of whom began the year with other teams, and both of whom seem to have gained life moving to teams that are a little better off in the standings.
Yeah, well, I think for El Duque, it was a matter of just coming to the New York stage. He likes the stage here. For Maddux, but just getting away from a last place team.
3-2 to Nomar. Popped it up. Won't be deep enough to get the run in. Sean Green in for Carl tagging to draw a throw, and the throw up the line, but for Carl going back to the bag, and there are 2 away.
The right fielder.
That's a nice
Number
stat
7,
that shows you
J.D.
that
Drew.
just another one of the moves that Omar Minaya has made during the season has come to pass and be very, very beneficial to the Mets.
And I don't know whether Rick Peterson gets full credit for El Duque's success since he got here, but look at the number of pitchers who have joined this team this year and have been more successful here than they were with their prior team. 1-0 to Drew.
His strength is, Rick Peterson's strength is that he has the ability to work with a lot of different pitchers. It started when he was with Oakland. He worked with guys as varied from Mark Mulder to Barry Zito. Just a lot of different pitchers, and he's able to work around their styles, not bring everyone to his style.
Infield back for Drew with 2 out, and JD pulls one foul. Because you look at Guillermo Mota, Oliver Perez, John Maine. I mean, the list goes on and on. The number of guys who have landed here off not very successful either last year or earlier this year performances with other teams. Darren Oliver, another prime example, guys who have been more successful here than they were before.
I think Peterson's a great communicator, and I think that's important when you're getting get a lot of new pitchers.
2-1 to Drew.
You know, Gary, we're looking at those numbers that El Duque has at home. He's primarily a fly ball pitcher, does not induce a lot of ground balls. This big park at Shea is a nice place for him to pitch, so that has to factor in to Willie and Rick Peterson's decision when they think about who's going to be starting at the postseason and where they're going to be starting.
Remember, he started the year with Arizona, a place where the ball really flies. And the slider misses low, and now it's 3-1 to Drew. Drew hit one over the fence last night that Carlos Beltran brought back, but he's still hitless in this series as Jeff Kent waits on deck. Beltran made a terrific play going over the wall and banging his knee into the fence with no ill effect. Off-speed pitch. 3-2 to Drew.
Well, a nice changeup, 3-1 from El Duque. Kind of got on top of that a little more, not from the side, and that ball 81 miles an hour just dipping down and away from Drew.
A very lively crowd today. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but there is a significant buzz in the building. For a call at 3rd and 2 out. Curveball in there for a call, strike 3. Way to start for El Duque. Gave up the double to Furcal and strands him at 3rd. Maddux goes to the mound for the Dodgers. Oh, that's an item I have not seen before, that little Mets dress.
Leading off for the Mets, the shortstop.
Have to check out the shops.
It's apropos. It's like a little tennis skirt.
There you go. Rick Maddux will face the Infinity Mets lineup. Sean Green red hot right now. So is David Wright. Cliff Floyd back in the lineup after sitting out last night. Kelly Stinnett gets his first Mets start in 11 years. And the master on the mound for the Dodgers. Deals ball 1 to Reyes.
Well, he pitches so quickly. I don't think I could get all of his stats in his brilliant career down before he's out of the game. But Greg Maddux, one of the best pitchers to ever, right-handers ever in baseball.
330 career victories, including 12 this year. It's the 19th straight year he's won 12 or more games.
Talk about consistency. You know, we always talk about pitchers, you know, going 6 innings, being taken out early. He has 108 complete games, but he's pitched as much as 8 innings 213 times.
Well, he had a game this year against the Giants in which he worked 8 innings and threw 68 pitches.
Yeah.
And that tells it all about Maddux.
Well, just a beautiful, easy delivery.
Late swing and a foul.
It's interesting that not only Schmaltz, Glavine, and Maddux, one of the reasons they've been able to have all the success, as you see, great numbers there, great awards, is that they have a nice, easy motion. Don't do not a lot of strain on their arm. And that's why he has 4,500 plus innings.
And with Maddux, because he has such great pitching mechanics, puts him in great position to field. And all he's done is win 15 Gold Gloves.
Kind of a bone of contention with me. I don't really want to speak about it too much. I was the last one to win it before he won 13 in a row, I believe. And would have won more, I think, if it wasn't for how great of a fielder he is.
2-2 to Reyes.
Although I became a really good fielder at the end of my career, because trying to dart behind those line drives coming back up through the middle.
And Reyes pulls one over the bag, and Nomar's right there, races Reyes and gets there first, 1 away.
The second baseman.
What is the Washington Mutual Dodgers defense? Nice play by Garcia Parra, who's really made a great move to first base. Ethier, you said, is in left field. Wilson Betemit at third base, and Russell Martin, who's done a fine job as a rookie doing the catching. Now look at that defense. Is brought to you by Washington Mutual. Stop by and experience the WAMU way.
Different spot in the batting order for Jose Valentin today, with Paulo Duca getting the day off. So Jose hits second. It's only the 4th time this season Valentin has hit second in the order. And he has had himself a phenomenal year. Hit a home run in the opening game of this series, 15 for the year now, 55 RBIs, and doing it in this series against the team he played with last year and had such a miserable season with, the Dodgers.
Well, the Dodgers never saw any of this production.
Now, Valentin was hurt half the year last year, and when he was healthy, he hit 170. And to me, what's amazing about Valentin this year isn't the 15 home runs or the 55 RBIs. It's the batting average. He was never this kind of hitter in the American League. There's a strike, 3-1.
And ever since he's gotten the second base job, too, I think Willie's done a nice job of getting him some rest. You know, once a week, sitting him down. I think that's kept him strong also.
Well, he's 36 years old. 3-2 to Valentin.
You know, in this age of the computers, I was asking the Dodgers how Russell Martin, the rookie, and Greg Maddux kind of go over the lineup. So Russell Martin said it takes him about a minute. He just goes over each guy, tells him exactly how he wants to pitch him and what pitch he'll throw when he gets behind.
Valentin lifts one to right. Did he get under it too much? Drew back, has room on the warning track, and puts it away. And Valentin just barely missed that ball. 2 out.
The center fielder, number 15.
Can you imagine, though, with all the pitch charts and how to pitch people, he just simply says, well, you know, Beltran, I'm going to try to pitch him in. I'll throw some changeups away. If I get behind him, I might roll over a little hook, okay? Next. And he just goes through the entire lineup.
Maddux has a reputation, as Beltran steps in, as a guy who reads hitters from pitch to pitch as well as anybody who's ever pitched. What exactly does that mean?
When you throw a fastball in and the hitter turns on it and hits a line drive, you say, interesting. If he can turn on a ball inside, then he has to be open for a strike or something slow down and away. If you throw something down and away, he serves it to left field. It tells you right away, I can't pitch him there today because he is vulnerable inside. That's what Maddux does. Better than anyone.
2-1 to Beltran. Well, Maddux works fast. His ball moves. He's got pinpoint control. And yet earlier this season, he was losing game after game with the Cubs.
When you are an older pitcher on the other side of your career and you're a contact pitcher, because you know Maddux could go through games when he was in his prime. He'll strike out 7, 8, 9 guys. Doesn't do that anymore. You need impeccable defense and you need a team to score some runs, and that was not the Chicago Cubs this year.
2-2 to Beltran. Loop to shallow right, and Drew is right there, and Maddux has himself a 1-2-3 and need to start things off. So the 2 veteran right-handers, El Duque and Greg Maddux, put up zeros in the first inning. Mr. Met is so popular that he can't get around enough to take pictures with everybody who wants to be in a picture with him. So you can pose with the flat Mr. Met. There's the real big-headed guy.
And the cardboard Met was right. Mets are #1.
Yes, they are. So you've got the paper mache Mr. Met
right.
we saw during the last road trip. You've got the cardboard Mr. Met, and then you've got the real deal. And the real deal, I mean, he's like Mick Jagger. He's a rock star. 0-2 to Jeff Kent. It's a pretty good likeness.
I don't know who signs more autographs, he or Chris Carter, before the game.
Well, Carter's a very popular guy.
He's great.
Kent is 3 for 7 in this series, hitting a .277. He's had a couple of stints on the DL this year. Jeff still going strong at age 38. 344 career home runs, more than any second baseman in history. Got him with a breaking ball. And El Duque looking sharp early. That's his second strikeout.
Well, nice breaking pitch. 2 reasons. One, the break, and you can see by the swing how out in front he was. Took a little off that slider.
Big time power hitters, bang bang plays, diving grabs. We're not talking Mets baseball. We're talking the WWE's Friday Night SmackDown. Catch all the action every Friday right here on the new CW11 starting September 22nd. Andre Ethier with 1 out and nobody on. There are 17 rookies in the majors who have 300 or more at bats. Andre Ethier has the highest batting average of any of them. He is having a terrific rookie year. And I'm at a loss to tell you who the favorite is for Rookie of the Year in the National League.
Wow, there's some fantastic years.
I mean, you got all those Florida guys from Uggla to Josh Johnson to Hanley Ramirez. I mean, there's so many choices on that one team.
Josh
alone,
Willingham.
right?
You have the Nationals' Ryan Zimmerman, who had an amazing year so far.
One and 2 to Ethier. Struck him out with a fastball. Well, Duca's got it all working early. That's his 3rd consecutive strikeout.
Well, I like how he gets ahead, and when he gets ahead, he pitches around the strike zone. What you do as a pitcher, you fight to get to 0-2, 1-2, so you can pitch off the strike zone, make them chase pitches. And El Duque does it about as good as anyone.
Now, most pitchers will fight to get ahead with their fastball, but not El Duque.
He'll mix it up. That's what makes him so good.
There's Wilson Benemit, and he takes a slow curve up high. Benemit playing third base, acquired in trade from the Braves right before the deadline for Willie Ibar and Danny Baez. And Benemit's had a very nice year. First filling in for Chipper Jones in Atlanta when he was hurt. Now playing most of the third base for LA.
You know, watching Maddux against Hernandez is like watching Spassky against Fisher. You know, they're like chess masters out there, just kind of reading the hitters, changing up, making up pitches.
A little more level-headed. Deep down the right field line, hooking, foul ball. Benemit just missed. Hit it 2 seats foul.
just foul off the bat of Wilson Betterman. He got all that. But watch El Duque. You know what he did? Never looked at it. He just looked at the umpire, held out his glove, give me a ball. I know that's foul. That's exactly what I wanted, him to pull a foul, and then I'll throw something away.
Oh, whether it's fair or foul, you still need a new ball.
That's right.
Pops this one up. Beltran coming in. Plenty of time to get there. And a 1-2-3 inning for El Duque. So after giving up the leadoff double in the first, El Duque has retired 6 in a row, and it looks like game on. Maddux and Hernandez.
To remember, July 4th.
New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Home second inning. Carlos Delgado will lead off. What is that? Hot dog with ketchup?
Tomatoes, maybe?
Maybe those good fried onions. Delgado fouls the first pitch away. I've never understood ketchup on hot dogs.
I made my youngest son stop doing it. I did. That's how I don't understand it. He kept putting. I said, "You just cannot do that, son. Cannot put ketchup on a hot dog." I said, "Dad, it tastes great." I said, "Our family just does not do a ketchup on a hot dog."
Delgado hits one to deep right center. That goes Drew near the wall, and it's out of here. Delgado got it just high enough to clear the wall. His 37th home run of the year, and the Mets are out to a 1-0 lead. Well, for the last month, Carlos Delgado has kicked it into a gear that encourages you for his first October baseball coming up. So 1-0 New York. Here's David Wright, and he takes a strike.
Well, Maddux trying to come inside with a little cutter. And that ball was left right over the middle of the plate. Talked about it last night about fence high, and he just barely got it over the fence.
Toward the hole, base hit for David Wright. And Wright is now 5 for 6 in this series.
Every guy, ever since he got home run, he always fucking walk into a bat.
Well, you see nothing. Maddux does not hold anything back when he's watching him. Very disappointed. He thought that was going to stay in the yard. It looked like it was going to be a double off the wall, but just crept over that wall.
Had that little extra carry on it. Maddux had given up only 2 home runs in his first 7 starts as a Dodger. But Delgado makes it 3. And here's Sean Green, the former Dodger, who has great numbers against Maddux in his career. That's what Sean has done lately. That doubleheader against the Braves on Wednesday really got his bat going as he rediscovered his toe tap. Throw to first by Martin, and Wright gets back. Green against Maddux, 14 for 31. That's 452 with 3 home runs. You don't see too many guys with numbers like that against Greg Maddux. You wonder how it is that a certain guy can hit a certain great pitcher. Green goes deep to left. Ethier in foul ground makes the play. Nice play by Andre Ethier. And Wright draws the throw. That's the first out.
The left fielder, number 30.
So 1 out and 1 on. And here's Cliff Floyd. Cliff still trying to get it going, coming back from the disabled list. He's played 4 games. He's had some days off in between. He's just 2 for 14 since returning. And I wonder, Ronnie, in Willie Randolph's mind, what Cliff has got to show before the end of the season to have his starting spot come October.
Number one, I think he's got to show he's healthy and that he can do the things in the outfield and the bases that Cliff Floyd can do. and be able to play every day for a period of time. Really hard, I think, for Floyd to get his bat going playing once every 3 days.
Down to Garciaparra. Out at second for Call's relay. Maddux covers, got him, double play. 3-6-1. Neat as you can do it. Side retired, but the Mets get the lead. The first run of the game brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Number 37 for Carlos Delgado. And the Mets are up on Maddux 1-0. The Mets hand Del Duque a lead as we go to the third inning, but Maddux.
Well, you just watch him cover. Good play by Garciaparra. The return from Furcal, and see him waiting. Got his weight shift. You see a lot of pitchers. Watch him bust over there. Key is to run fast, slows down, is under control, and times the touching of the bag. Just, if you guys are out there, you young guys, and want to know how to do it perfectly, that's how you do it right there.
Are you looking to hit the bag with your right foot specifically if you're a right-hander?
Yeah, you definitely want to time it so you hit it with your right foot. The key, of course, is to throw from the shortstop. It's got to be an accurate throw. But you have to bust over there as hard as you can until about 5 feet from the bag, and then you can slow it down and time it so you're under control.
Russell Martin swings over the curveball.
Watch where he goes. He gets there as quick as he can and then turns it up a little bit. That's where you square your shoulders. That way you're under control. It's easier to catch the ball. If it's a bad throw, you can react.
One and two to Martin. Rookie catcher having a terrific year. It's another Rookie of the Year candidate. And he lifts this one to left center. Floyd started back. Now has time to get there. One away.
You know, you're talking about Maddux and covering first. You know, one of the keys for a pitcher is that, one, you have to bust over there, because you see a lot of pitchers kind of lollygag over there. So if they get a bad throw, they can't catch it properly. But when you get about 10 to 8 feet short of the bag, you want to run right to the line, and as soon as you get there, you turn it up like you're facing right field and square your shoulders. That way you can handle the throw much better.
What about communication with the first baseman as far as knowing whether you need to run hard to cover or whether he's going to take it himself?
It's part of knowing your job. If you're a good pitcher, you're not only locked into what pitch you're throwing, but you also know who's the batter is. You know, if I'm facing Jose Reyes and he hits the ball down the line, I know I have to get over there quicker. If it's, you know, someone who's injured or a catcher maybe, I know I can, you know, be more under control.
1 and 2 to Maddux.
You know, you talk all the time about baseball instincts. A lot can go into instincts if you're prepared, if you just understand the game, if you know, as a shortstop, Reyes is saying to himself, okay, Greg Maddux is up. If I get a play in the hole, I know that he's not going to be busting. I'll have time to make an accurate throw.
And he goes around on the slider, and Maddux is down. 4 strikeouts for El Duque. 2 out and nobody on.
Well, that was a pretty easy call for Brian Gorman at first base. Greg Maddux could not hold up.
Looks very strange seeing Maddux wearing number 36. He wore 31 for so long with the Cubs and the Braves. Brad Penny wears 31 for the Dodgers. I haven't asked, but I'm wondering whether there was any communication or negotiation, or if Maddux just said, hey kid, it's yours. Here's Furcal, who doubled his first time up.
I would say that there was no communication, and it was a case of if that number was going to be relinquished, it would be on Penny's part to put it in Maddux's locker.
Well, it's like when Mike Piazza came to the Mets. Of course, he wore 31 as well, and John Franco had 31 when Piazza got here, and John immediately said, I'm giving it up, giving it to Piazza, and he took 45, which had been his number at St. John's. Furcal to right field, and Green right there. Side retired. That's 9 in a row for El Duque after Furcal's leadoff double in the first. Middle of the third, 1-0 Mets.
Congratulations to these Hungary fans of the game.
Home third inning, big crowd at Shea on a gorgeous Saturday afternoon. Greg Maddux down 1-0 as we go to the home third. A lot of families in the ballpark today. Dads and daughters, dads and sons, moms and daughters, moms and sons. And Kelly Stinnett has a base hit. Well, Stinnett starting his first game as a Met since 1995, and he sees one pitch from Maddux and he rams a base hit.
Well, this tends to be the best approach against Greg Maddux. You know that as a right-handed hitter. Most of the time you're going to get a sinker on the outside part of the plate, and Stinnett did a nice job of driving it up the middle.
Kelly's now 36 years old. Came to the Mets in '94 as a Rule 5 pick. The Mets traded him after '95 to the Brewers, and they got back in that trade Corey Lytle. And interestingly enough, Stinnett and Lytle both wound up playing for the Yankees this season. El Duque can't get the bunt down, and it's 0-1. Duque has hit better than he's bunted this year.
Yeah, his form bunting leaves a lot to be desired. He just it almost looks like he has fear when he bunts, because he certainly doesn't have it when he hits, but he seems kind of fearful when he turns around and squares the bunt.
Gets that one down very nicely, and Maddux little cat and mouse. Maddux was having none of that. 1-4 on the sacrifice. Stinnett over to second.
Well, gets the ball right down the middle. Good bunt by El Duque. That ball's inside. Maddux is from the school that on a bunting situation, he throws it down the middle. He charges as a pitcher. He has so much confidence in his ability as a fielder that he can sometimes get the guy at second, especially when you have a catcher, backup catcher, Stinnett running at first, but El Duque with a good bunt.
So now Reyes will try and get Stinnett home. Reyes with 74 runs batted in out of the leadoff spot. Grounded out to first base his first trip. Stinnett at second and one out. And Reyes pops it up foul. Martin back. And it's just out of play. Well, log on to Mets.com now for your postseason ticket purchase opportunity. The deadline to register for the Division Series drawing is this Tuesday at midnight. For details, go to Mets.com or LosMets.com today. And I'm glad they're doing it that way rather than making people line up all night. Although I did that when I was 1969. I was 11 years old, and I camped out outside Shea Stadium for tickets for the postseason.
Would you ever let your 11-year-old camp out?
Not a chance. Not a chance in the world. But that was a long time ago.
I used to hitchhike to and from high school.
Imagine that. Good changeup by Maddux, and he gets Reyes. First strikeout of the day for Maddux, who is 12th on the all-time strikeout list.
Well, he worked him inside with fastballs. Once he opened him up inside, got him away with a changeup. It's great sequence of pitching.
So 2 out for Valentin, who hit a deep fly ball to right his first time up, just getting under one. Off the end of the bat, Bedemit with the bare hand play, and he got him. Nicely done by Wilson Bedemit to get Valentin and end the inning. So Maddux works around the leadoff hit by Kelly Stinnett as he gets a fine play by Bedemit to end the inning. Still 1-0. Here's a sweet face. Well, maybe not so sweet. Mets upcoming schedule brought to you by ChevyOffers.com. The latest offers from Chevrolet. One more game with the Dodgers, then 3 in Florida and 3 in Pittsburgh. The Marlins losing the first 2 games of their series with the Phillies this weekend, mostly courtesy of one guy. Lofton sacrificed his first trip, and he takes ball 2. Ryan Howard so far is not only having a great season, he is having a Carl Yastrzemski September.
The impossible dream year in 1967.
And that's why the Phillies are just a game and a half behind. And so when the Mets get to Florida on Monday, the Marlins are going to be not in desperation mode yet, but in a mode where they've got to win every game. 3-1 to Lofton.
Most recently, even though it's not as good as Howard, I think Vladimir Guerrero had an amazing September a couple of summers ago.
That's when he won his MVP with the Angels. Lofton to deep right field. Green back near the wall and has just enough room. Wonderfully timed by Sean Green, and El Duque likes it too. 1 away.
But he did a good job. See, checks out the wall, makes sure where he is. He's preparing to really scale the wall and jump higher, but the ball comes down neatly into his glove. Good job by Green. And Orlando Hernandez, of course, applauding with the fans.
Didn't look like that one was going to clear the wall like the one that Beltran brought back from J.D. Drew last night, but Mets have made a few plays right at fences recently as Nomar hits one to left, and this one's easy for Floyd. 2 out. And that's 11 in a row for El Duque. We're talking about the Marlins. You just wonder about, as you look at Beltran and Green, and they have certainly been right there at the blue fence the last couple of days. You wonder about young pitchers on a staff completely comprised of young starters coming down the stretch of a season in a race.
Well, there's 2 things that happen. One is the pressure. You see what kind of intestinal fortitude those young guys will have. And secondly, if you have enough gas in the tank.
That's what I'd worry about. All these guys who have never pitched in September before.
Well, and they're on pitch counts, and if they pitch 150 innings in the minor leagues, that's a huge year.
1-2 to Drew.
So when you're making 33, 34 starts, that's well over 200. Now you're 50 more innings out of your comfort zone.
John Maine, who took the loss last night, his first in a long time. 2-2 to Drew. Remember, El Duque took a couple of starts off because of fatigue, and they allowed just 1 hit in his first start back and another one today.
That was interesting to see John Maine, to see him have the little split finger grip. He's been having trouble with his changeup, making it a viable pitch, and it'd be interesting to see if he might try to go to that split finger.
Rick Peterson was talking after the game yesterday about maybe working on different changeup grips with Maine.
He would have a good one with that long, easy motion, and he has a sinking action on his fastball when it's away. It would come out of that same spot. It'd be a great pitch for him.
Drew with a tapper, and El Duque makes the play. And another 1-2-3 inning, and Delgado grabbing his back playfully, I think, after going down for that low throw.
And if the Mets player hits a home run in the bottom of the 4th.
Now, this week's Mets WB11 poll question is brought to you by NYPD Recruitment. Apply now for the next team at nypdrecruit.com or call 212-RECRUIT. Will the Mets post the major's best record? Log on to WB11.com to vote and tune in tomorrow for the results. We're settling into a nice pitcher's duel between Greg Maddux and Orlando Hernandez. 1-0 New York. Beltran fly to right his first time up. Carlos 5th in the National League in home runs, 4th in runs batted in, leads the league in runs scored. He lifts this one to right center. Lofton with the glasses down. 1 away. And whereas 2 weeks ago you would have said that Beltran had a pretty good chance of winning the MVP, you'd have to say that through no fault of his own that chance may be slipping away.
Well, this is the play El Duque made to finish the inning. And with that low throw, you see Carlos Delgado feigned like he hurt his back because he had to reach so low from that throw from El Duque. Fun you can have on a field when you're 15.5 games up.
Carlos has produced the only run of this game with his 37th home run, and Maddux moves him back. Maddux has not hit a batter this season. He's not thrown a wild pitch this season.
And he moves batters off the plate about as good as anyone in baseball. So that's impeccable control.
Delgado just scraping the back of the wall. As good as a 500-footer. 2-1. What can a young player who wants to be the next Greg Maddux learn from watching him about how to develop that kind of control?
Well, I think the most important thing for you young guys out there is the fastball is the best pitch. So I know you love to work on your curveball because young kids love a pitch that no one can hit. And they swing and miss at it, as you see that great average per inning. But the fastball is the best pitch. So if you can throw your fastball any place, inside or outside, that's how you start. And then after that, you work on throwing your breaking pitches to both sides of the plate. But if you can establish the ability to throw your fastball on both sides of the plate, up and down, you got a great start. And I see too many kids that go straight to the breaking ball because it's a real sexy pitch to throw. No one can hit it. They swing over it. They look silly.
Delgado hits this one to right center, playable for Lofton. And there are 2 out.
But it's almost a long run versus short run versus long run kind of thing. If you want to be around for as long as Greg Maddux has been, it's because he can throw his fastball for strikes. And then after that, he's learned how to change speeds.
Let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Is it focus? Is it mechanics? How do you develop that consistency of being able to throw your fastball where you want it?
Well, focus is what I was talking about with focusing on being able to have control. Then it becomes mechanics. Can you repeat the same thing over and over? And I know that Greg Maddux, he will literally draw places on the mound where he wants his foot to hit. And if that's where he's going to be on the left side of it if he wants to go on the inside corner. He'll be on the right side of it if he wants to go to the outside corner. And if he makes that precise where he lands, keeps his shoulder closed, mechanics, the ball has to go where you want it to go.
Right to deep right center. Lofton back near the wall, and it's off the fence. And Wright will pull into second base with a double. He just barely missed his 25th home run. David Wright 2 for 2 today, and now 6 for 7 in this series.
Just feasting on this Dodger pitching, but this ball up in the strike zone. If you're watching Maddux, the only time he'll get hit is when his ball is up in the strike zone. Up and out over the plate for David Wright, just asking for trouble, and that ball just stayed in the park.
Well, David is red hot right now. 19 for 37 over his last 11 games. That's over 500. And Green is hot as well.
William Mazzoni was telling me the best game he ever saw Greg Maddux pitch was a complete game, 4-hitter, not a 1-hitter, 4-hitter, no walks, 11 strikeouts, 81 pitches, and he said he never threw a ball over or above the thigh the entire game.
I mean, Maddux has had some of the best years in history. I mean, 1995, he went 19-2 with a 1.63 ERA. The year before, 94, strike shortened year, 16-6, 1.56. No telling how many games he would have won that year. 3-0 to Green. Only Roger Clemens among active pitchers has more wins, and Clemens is 4 years older.
I was talking to some of the Dodger people at this point in his career. Maddux, when he has bases open, will pitch around people, and he knows the history between him and Green, who's hit him very well.
Cliff Floyd, who's on deck, has not hit him as well, and Cliff, Maddux well knows, is recently back from the DL and trying to get his bat going. Fastball strike 3-2. He's throwing his fastball 83, 84 miles an hour. I mean, there was a time when Maddux would throw 88, 89, 90.
Yeah. That's a fastball grip right there.
On the inside corner, strike 3 called. And Maddux comes back from 3-0 to get Sean Green, who is not happy with Jerry Davis's call. Second strikeout for Maddux. On to the 5th. 1-0 Mets. 5th inning, Jeff Kent will lead off against Orlando Hernandez, who's retired 12 in a row after giving up a double to the first man to face him today.
Well, look at this great grip. This is a 2-seam grip, so usually you'd use this to throw a sinker away, but Maddux uses it as a sinker in. See that ball start right at the hip of Sean Green and almost literally take a right turn as it sinks back over the plate right about belt level, and that's been one of his strikeout pitches for his entire career.
That's the pitch that Rick Reed copied so well while he was with the Mets and made him so successful. And that led to Rick being known in some circles as Greg Maddux Light.
And it's a sequence of pitches because the pitch before the 3-1 pitch was a cutter in for Maddux. So Sean Green sees the ball moving from the middle of the plate into him for a strike. And then so he figures the next pitch, if it starts at his hip, it's got to be off the plate. But no, it comes back with the opposite movement back over the middle of the plate for a strike.
2-2 to Kent. And yet both pitches essentially are fastballs.
Yeah, they're both just different kinds of grip, different kinds of thought process on how you want the ball to move, how you want it to appear to the hitter.
Strikes out Kent. 13 in a row for El Duque. That's his 5th strikeout. So when you're talking about gripping the 2-seamer, gripping the cutter, what are we talking about?
Well, for Maddux, 4-seamer. The cutter, you'll put a lot of pressure here, and that'll make the ball move inside to the left-hander from the middle of the plate inside. And after that, after it gets to the 3-2 count, he goes to the 2-seamer, which the movement is going to run away from the left-hander. And then he starts that ball right at his hip. And as the ball comes in, it's a 2-seamer, so it's going to move away. Starts right at his hip, moves back over the middle of the plate, completely fools left-handed hitters. He's done that for his entire career, and he still can't figure it out.
Delgado handles the ground ball by Ethier, and El Duque in a solid groove right now. That's 14 straight Dodgers retired, and really only one has made solid contact in that period of time. So Wilson Betemit. Now you talk about throwing pitches like that. Most 2-seamers will have natural movement away from a left-hand batter. Is it just a matter of being able to control that pitch that separates a Maddux from everybody else?
Well, it's being able to control that pitch, but no pitch stands alone. I mean, he could throw that pitch on a first pitch strike, and Sean Green could hit it for a single up the middle. So no pitch stands alone. It's a sequence of pitches. So he gets behind 3-0. There's a base open. So he's going to pitch around the strike zone. Throws one outside that might have been a ball, but he gets a strike. So Maddux thinks in his mind, well, I got a strike here. Maybe I can get one more. How am I going to get him out? Well, if I want to get him out 3-2, I've got to give him the appearance that he's going to have a cutter coming in on his hands. That makes him feel like the ball's moving into him. And then if I get the 3-2, I'm going to throw the one that moves away from him.
Betemit drives it to right, and Green is there. And that's 15 in a row set down by Orlando Hernandez. So El Duque has pitched 10 in the 3rd inning since coming back from missing a couple of starts. He's given up 2 hits. Home 5th inning. Greg Maddux has given up a Carlos Delgado home run. Orlando Hernandez has given up only 1 hit. And we've got ourselves a real old-fashioned pitcher's duel between 2 veterans. But Floyd leads off, grounded into a double play his first trip, and Maddux gets ahead of him. Take a look at today's pitcher's high speed, brought to you by Verizon Online DSL, now at a great low price. Maddux topping out at 86, and he's only rarely gotten there. And same applies for El Duque. It's usually around 89. Floyd hits it right into the shift, and Kent throws him out one away. You know, we've talked a lot about Maddux today, his control, his movement, and I think that a lot of times fans look at Maddux and they kind of shrug their shoulders because they don't really get it, and they don't give him the credit that he deserves because he doesn't throw 95 miles an hour.
Well, you know what happens, Gary, a lot is that the guys who throw 95 are going to get more of a chance than a guy who throws 85. It's simple as that. That's how the game has always been. That being said, the problem is what happens is Greg Maddux is not an overly big guy. So I'm sure when he was in high school, he had to learn how to pitch to get people out because he could not overpower.
Kelly Stinnett gets ahead of one.
With that being said, what happens to guys who throw 95? They never learn how to pitch because they can just blow people away, and then they get to this level and 95 means nothing. This game has been littered with guys who throw 95 that are clueless. And just to watch a guy like El Duque also, he's doing the same thing. But a guy who throws 85 miles an hour just carve up hitters. And that's what Maddux does. He carves you up very slowly.
Stinnett hits one toward the stands, and Nomar runs out of room. And if you have a kid who aspires to be a big league pitcher, the overwhelming odds are that he'll never throw 95 miles an hour. So who better to emulate, Roger Clemens or Greg Maddux?
Listen, if you learn how to pitch like Greg Maddux and you're lucky enough at some point in your life to throw 95 miles an hour, game on, straight to the Hall of Fame, because that's what separates Roger Clemens now from other 95 mile an hour throwers. He pitches the spots.
That strikes out on the curveball, and that's the third strikeout for Maddux.
The pitcher, Orlando
Well, he'll
Hernandez.
get you going back and forth, up and down. Has not thrown a lot of breaking pitches. Well, I'll decide to throw one here. Just pulls the string, just like El Duque does sometimes. So, to me, watching Maddux pitches sometimes, you're talking about how he reads a hitter. Because you know what? He's vulnerable to a breaking ball. I'm not really a breaking ball pitcher, but I'll throw one anyway.
Pretty good fourth pitch. Fastball strike, 1-1.
You see Maddux right there? Threw a strike, got a call third strike, very unhappy with that pitch because he was trying to throw that ball outside corner to come back over the outside part, and it went right down the middle. Change now.
And El Duque pops it up for a call with the sunglasses on. Grabs it for a 1-2-3 Maddux inning. We've played 5 now. Maddux and El Duque putting on a clinic at Shea. Checking out our Toyota line score. The Dodgers have managed just one hit. That was a leadoff double by Rafael Furcal in the first. Mets with the only run on a Carlos Delgado second inning home run. And that's it. Take a look at our Dodge trivia question. Jose Valentin has gone 58 straight games without making an error. Who holds the Mets record for consecutive errorless games at second base? And that's phenomenal when you consider the guy is a shortstop who's really learned how to play second base this season. Russell Martin leads off the 6th inning and swings at the curveball.
I think the only time I've seen Valentin have a tough game at second base this year was against the Dodgers in Los Angeles. Wright gave him a couple of throws to second base that he kind of just clanked and muffed. And ever since then, just amazing.
0-2 to Martin. Well, it's been a Joe Hardy kind of a year for Jose Valentin. You can't even imagine going from the depths of where he was last year and this spring and this April and early May to where he is now at his age.
Jose Hardy.
That's exactly right. And Martin bloops one, and that's a base hit. Well, Orlando Hernandez got ahead of him 0-2 with a curveball and a fastball, but he couldn't put him away as Martin just plunks one into center field.
Well, he wants this slider to be about 6 inches more outside. See how it's just on the outside corner. Martin is a good 2-strike hitter, just trying to somehow get the bat on the ball. And when you do that as a hitter, instead of swinging freely and striking out, you always give yourself a chance. And Martin gets a base hit out of it.
Only the second hit off El Duque, who had retired 15 in a row. And now Maddux will get up there looking to bunt. And among everything else he does well, Maddux is a great bunter.
He's also been known to hit and run. If they come in real hard, he'll swing away. See El Duque throwing to first. What you like to do there, the reason he throws over there is not to pick off Russell Martin, the catcher. It's to throw over there to see if you can get the pitcher to tip his hand. And Maddux did, swing around the bunt.
Now that time Delgado came charging, and El Duque looked like he wasn't ready.
Well, see, what they're trying to do is that they're trying to time it so when Delgado charges, El Duque's got to release the pitch, because that way Russell Martin won't get such a huge lead off first base.
So what's Delgado's key in terms of making that break?
Well, the key really is that the pitcher's got to know as soon as he comes set, he's saying, El Duque, when you come set, I'm going to sprint in, so get rid of the ball.
Martin's running. It's a hit and run play. Reyes retreats. Can he make the play to first? In the dirt. Can't be handled, and everybody's safe. So the Dodgers crossed everybody up by playing hit and run. And runners are at first and second with nobody out.
Well, he just handles the bat so well, does Greg Maddux. Reminds me of an old Dodger pitcher, Orel Hershiser, who was very good at handling the bat, also just making contact.
They've ruled that an error on Reyes. That's a terrible call.
It's a terrible call. He's moving to cover the bag at second base. And if it wasn't Jose Reyes, he wouldn't have got to the ball anyway.
That's exactly right. That's a bad scoring decision. It's a scoring decision, and I don't even know who the scorer is today, by someone not aware of how the game is played.
Yes.
You know, you can see him make the throw in the dirt and say, okay, that's an error. But you have to know what happened before that. Carl lays down the bunt. That'll move the runners. And now the Dodgers have runners at second and third.
Well, I'm not sure what the defense the Mets had on, but Wright was very aggressive coming in. If he had stayed at third base, they easily would have had to play at third base because that ball was bunted right straight back to El Duque.
Well, remember the last time that El Duque pitched, the Mets got in trouble because Wright went back to the bag when he should have come in.
And the ball went in for not a base hit, but sacrifice.
So David perhaps thinking about that play as he came charging in that time.
Well, you have to remember too, know the hitter. If you got a pitcher up there, you can more apt to stay around the bag and then charge because he's not going to have that kind of speed. Rafael Furcal, you cannot not waste any time because he'll beat it out at first base.
So now runners at second and third for Lofton in a 1-0 game. The infield back, they'll concede the tying run on a ground ball to try to avoid a bigger inning. Lofton 0 for 1 in a sacrifice. Remember last time up, he hit one right to the right field fence that Sean Green caught near the top of the wall. Here's what Lofton's done in RBI situations. Had an RBI in the game last night. Take a pretty good fly ball to get Martin home from third. And a line to center, and that's a base hit. And Martin will score the tying run. Maddux will be held at third, and the Dodgers have drawn even. So Lofton with the RBI single, his 33rd run batted in.
Well, nice at bat by Kenny Lofton. Stayed level on that pitch out and away. Martin, of course, scores easily. Greg Maddux looking at the ball, making the turn. He knows he's going to probably be held up, but classic inning for Maddux. Been pitching well, down behind 1-0, and helped himself out, swinging the bat, and Lofton driving the run in.
So now the Dodgers poised to try to take the lead, first and third and 1 out. El Duque hoping for a double play ball with Garciaparra up there. Nomar's flied out twice. And that's as full of fake to third as you'll ever see on that play.
Get injured doing it that hard.
Looked like he was throwing a pitch.
The only people I've ever seen that are very good at that, fake to third, go to first, are the ones that don't make the full step to third. It's a really short step and spin and throw.
It's a balk.
And it's a balk, really.
Turk Wendell was great at that play. Once pulled it off successfully twice in 1 inning. Of course, it wasn't a very good inning for him because
people are on base.
Exactly. I think he gave him a couple of runs that inning, but yeah, Turk balked every time he made that move. He just picked up his foot and put it right down in the same spot. You're supposed to step toward third.
I always hated that move. The first time I ever did it was in Houston. I faked the third, threw to first, and the runner that was on first was dusting himself off at second base. So this is not a good move for me.
Well, you got Kenny Lofton at first base with 592 career stolen bases. He's seen every trick. Stinnett set up way outside, and Lofton runs, and it's hit hard to third. That'll take away the double play, so Wright's got to look home, and they've got Maddux in the rundown. And El Duque will put the tag on Maddux, and the runners will hold at first and second. Well, it's a great play by the Dodgers by sending Lofton. That kept them out of the inning-ending double play. And Wright made the right play.
Well, Maddux was going on contact. That's what he was instructed to by Rich Donnelly, third base coach, and trying to stay in the rundown here long enough to get Lofton to third base, but it didn't work out, although looked like he tried to give a little bit of the business to Orlando Hernandez to knock that ball out of his glove, and El Duque didn't really appreciate it.
That might have gone back to El Duque stopping in the baseline on that bunt earlier in the game, and Maddux kind of disgustedly threw the ball to first base. This is how you run the bases.
See, El Duque not too happy about that.
Little gamesmanship. 2 out and 2 on. Here's J.D. Drew. And he lines one into center field for a base hit. Lofton around third. He'll score the lead run. And the Dodgers have taken a 2-1 lead. J.D. Drew with his first hit in this series. He had gone 0 for 10 to that point. And he drives in his 82nd run of the year to put the Dodgers up 2-1.
Jeff Kent.
Well, just first pitch hitting, this sinker away, just gets it off the end of the bat, breaks his bat, in fact, and base hit through the center.
Third hit of the inning against El Duque. Probably should be 4. The error charge to Reyes should have been an infield hit. In any event, here's Kent, who has been up twice and struck out both times. So El Duque trying to put a stop to this here with 2 runs home in the 6th. And a check swing tapper. Tough play. Delgado will find El Duque, who just kicks the bag in time to get Kent. And that retires the side. But the Dodgers take the lead. Remember, El Duque lost his last start 2-1. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Infiniti, using the power of design to create dynamic, beautiful automobiles. There you see the standings in the National League West. The Dodgers winning last night, and the Giants beating the Padres behind the rookie Matt Cain, who allowed just 1 hit in 7 innings. Duque not happy after that little ball inning for the Dodgers.
And you know, when you have Garciaparra with 16 home runs, J.D. Drew with 15 home runs, you can see how the Dodgers have scored runs, that they get a lot of hits in succession.
Bunted well, played hit and run. Reyes takes ball 1. Reyes has grounded out and struck out 0 for 2. So Maddux now staked to a 2-1 lead. Maddux lost his first game as a Dodger in his last start in Milwaukee. And Reyes lifts it to center. And Lofton's got it 1 away. This season, the 6th inning means it's time to swing for sandwiches. If a Met hits a home run this inning, you can log on to WB11.com for your chance to score a $100 gift card at Subway. Here's Valentin, who's 0 for 2. Fly deep to right, and then thrown out on a good play by Benjamin in the 3rd. And here's Maddux working in the 6th inning. 1 out, 64 pitches. Tim Hamulak, the left-hander, and Brett Tomko, the right-hander, in the Dodger bullpen. Brett Tomko's made a nice transformation into being a setup man for the Dodgers. One and 2 to Valentin.
Although last night he pitched a scoreless inning, but gave up 4-line drives, really.
That's good.
Sometimes you got to get away with those, you know. Can't make perfect pitch all the time.
All that matters is your line in the box score.
That's right. 4 broken bats or 4-line drives the next day. 4 broken bat hits.
And what would you rather have? Brett Tomko's inning last night or El Duque's inning?
Yeah, Tomko. Exactly.
The Dodgers hit a ball hard that entire inning. Not really. Martin hit one off the end of the bat. Maddux had that dribbler to short. Lofton probably hit the ball more solidly than any of them. And Valentin drives one down the line. That's an extra base hit. And the Mets will get the tying run into scoring position with 1 out. So Valentin with his 23rd double of the year.
Well, nice job by Jose Valentin hooking that ball in the corner. And Maddux will let you know what he feels about a pitch. This one he leaves over the middle of the plate. And you know what? I used to be a little bit like that too. As you see Grady Little coming out, it's a good way to get rid of that pitch and move on to the next one.
Grady Little, the Dodger manager, out to talk to Maddux. His pitch count is low, only 68. But they have the bullpen solidly going. Now you got the heart of the batting order coming up, and that's why Little's out to take his temperature.
It's hard not to look at Grady Little taking the temperature of a veteran pitcher without thinking about something that's going to haunt him forever. But, you know, watching Maddux and Russell Martin here, you know, Maddux dictates how the game's going to be pitched. But Russell Martin, for a rookie catcher, has done a fantastic job this season of being on his pitchers, even if they're veteran pitchers. Derek Lowe earlier in the year was having a bad inning. Martin came out to talk to him. Lowe really shooed him away. Said, I don't want to talk to you. You're a rookie catcher. I'll get out of myself. Martin started talking again. Lowe said, hey, don't you understand? Please leave me alone. He said, I'm staying here. I'm not leaving until you listen to what I have to say. And that doesn't happen very often with a rookie catcher. And that's why he's so good and why their record is so good when he catches.
24 games over 500 when Martin catches, 15 under when he doesn't. Now Beltran will get the intentional walk. This will put the lead run on base and bring up Carlos Delgado, who already has a home run in the game, and makes you think maybe they're going to bring in the lefty to face him.
And a double play threat, though, if he wants to leave Maddux in. Boy, it's interesting, wasn't it? It was like Little went out there, and he and the veteran Maddux were discussing strategy, a manager and a pitcher. How many veteran pitchers get that kind of confidence from the manager?
Well, Beltran gets the walk, and we'll see what Grady does, and he's going to make the change. So he obviously told Maddux, you're intentionally walking him and we're taking you out. And Maddux does not appear particularly pleased with that decision. But it looks like Tim Hamulak, who pitched for the Mets last year, is going to come on to face Carlos Delgado with 2 men on. So Maddux exits. This call to the bullpen brought to you by T-Mobile. Get more minutes, more features, more service. Maddux out. Hamulak in. 2-1 Dodgers. Lefty Tim Hamulak takes over the pitching for the Dodgers.
Well, Hamulak, the former Met, has done a nice job so far this year with the Dodgers, getting these outs, the left-handed outs in the middle of the game. His pitching coach, Rick Honeycutt, was about as good as there was with the Oakland A's getting those left-handed outs in the middle of the game.
He got Delgado to ground into a double play in the opening game of this series. Delgado is accounted for the only Met run with his 37th home run. And lately, he's been tagging the lefties as well as the righties. Tying run at second, Valentin. Beltran at first with 1 out. And he lifts it to deep right center. Lofted back onto the track. And he's got it. Valentin tags. So does Beltran. And they both move up to second and third. So Hamulak had just enough ballpark to hold Delgado. And that's going to be the only batter he faces. They'll bring in the right-hander to face the red-hot David Wright.
Well, nice job of running the bases by both Beltran and Valentin. Carlos is looking at this play, seeing where the throw's going, and just makes a nice adjustment.
So Hamulak got 1 long out, and now Brett Tomko comes on to face David Wright. Battle of 2 old war horses here at Shea Stadium this afternoon. El Duque retired 15 in a row at one point. Maddux just as masterful. Carlos Delgado provided the first run of the game with his 37th home run. But the Dodgers were able to scratch back against El Duque for a couple of runs in the 6th inning and go up 2-1. Now the Mets trying to function against the Dodger bullpen, and Brett Tomko comes on to try and get the 3rd out of the inning.
Well, Tomko has been both a reliever and a starter. Now in the bullpen has made a good adjustment, as you see Beltran at second base and Jose Valentin at third.
Both those runners the responsibility of Greg Maddux. Remember, he issued the intentional walk to Beltran before departing somewhat testily.
Ooh.
Now David is already 2 for 2 in this game. He got first base open, but they brought in Tomko to try and get him out. You got the 2 lefties to follow. Grady Little could have walked Wright and left Hamulak in to face Green, but he opted to go this way instead. Add to that the fact that Wright had a double against Tomko last night. One and one. With 2 out of runners in scoring position, David has been very solid. He's driven in 107 runs this year, tied for 5th in the National League. He's got the tying and lead runs in scoring position right now. Fastball from Tomko, 2-1. Brett Tomko has been around this league for 9 years now. Once a very promising starter in his early days with the Reds. It never quite panned out for him, but he's always been one of those middle of the road starting pitchers. Breaking ball fouled off, 2-2.
94 to 95 miles an hour. So he has all the tools to have great success. But it's all about control, changing speeds, and that's something that Tomko's always had a little trouble getting. Getting that ability to change speeds. He's always been a guy that had a great fastball, doesn't always throw it in the spot he wants to.
Pitched for the Giants last year, went 8-15. Now has found a home in the bullpen. And the breaking ball just missed. Tough pitch to take, 3-2.
Whoa. Jerry Davis, the home plate umpire. That ball was all over the plate. And it definitely wasn't too high, I don't think.
I think that's what he called.
Yep.
3-2 now to Wright. Line drive, base hit. Valentin scores the tying run. Beltran right behind him, and the Mets go in front 3-2. Well, Grady Little had a choice. He decided to go after a hot hitter.
Well, after not getting the call on the slider, tried to come inside on Wright. Great job of inside outing that pitch up the middle. Beltran with that great speed, of course, with the go-ahead run.
And how do you think Maddux feels now? He's now on the hook in this game because Little left him in to issue that intentional walk.
The over and under is 3 thrown chairs, I believe.
Shawn Green, and he takes a strike. So many things about this inning. One was that Grady Little had him walk Beltran and leave after only 72 pitches. 2 was that Beltran tagged and took second base on the fly ball by Delgado to get the go-ahead run into scoring position. And then 3, the fact that Grady Little easily could have left Hamulak in, walked Wright, who after all was 6 for 7 in this series before that at bat. And they could have pitched to Shawn Green, the lefty, but he went after Wright and paid for it. David now 3 for 3 on the day. 7 for 8 in this series. He now has 109 runs batted in. Wright runs in there for a call strike 3. The inning comes to an end, but the Mets take the lead right back. The game story will tell you that David Wright's 2-run single gave the Mets the lead, but it took a lot to get there.
It did. The 2-2 slider looked like a good pitch. Jerry Davis, the home plate umpire, called it up. Got the 3-2, got a fastball, and Wright with a great job of hitting. 3 for 3 today.
And so El Duque's got himself a lead again, and he gets ahead of Andre Ethier. There were so many things that could have changed in that inning. Had decisions been made differently, had a call gone a different way. 1-1 to Andre Ethier. Go all the way back to the decision by Grady Little to take Greg Maddux out of that game with a 2-1 lead.
Well, I wouldn't have. I'm certainly not managing the Dodgers. I'm certainly not manager material. But I look at it like this. One, he made a mistake against Delgado earlier. Maddux knows that, and he won't do it again. Secondly, nothing against Tim Hamulak or Brett Tomko, but who do I want in a pressure situation in the middle of a game? I opt for Maddux.
Now, you also alluded to it when Grady Little went out the first time as Ethier flares one foul. He went out, he talked to Maddux, they had a long conversation, and finally he told Maddux to walk Beltran. Then he went out and took him out of the game. And you mentioned it during that first trip. Older pitcher, tiring, late innings, alluding to the Pedro Martinez situation in 2003. And it really makes you wonder, does that cloud sit over Grady Little when he makes a decision like that?
Well, he'll certainly say it doesn't, but it absolutely does. I mean, those kind of things that will stay with him forever. But in saying that, I think that if he decided to take Maddux out of the game, that I'm not against the walk, as we see a walk here to Andre Ethier, something that El Duque certainly didn't want to do after being given the lead.
And that's his first walk of the day.
Third baseman Wilson Benavides.
I don't think that was a bad move. If you decide to take Maddux out, it's nice to walk because you don't want Hamulak coming in and the first batter he has to face, he has to issue a walk. I like that. But I just think that every game's different. 72 pitches. If it was 102 pitches, I totally agree. Greg Maddux has been through the trenches, been through the wars, and when you get in the middle of the game and it's time for a pitcher to get those outs that'll get him a win, who does it better than Maddux?
Well, here's another item to throw into the fire. Maddux over the last 10 years has had a lot of occasions where he would throw out the parachute after 70, 80 pitches and take himself out of the game. But it was clear on this particular occasion from his body language that he did not want to come out, that he didn't feel he was gassed and needed to come out. I mean, Maddux is not a 110 pitch guy at this point in his career and hasn't been for a long time. And Bateman takes 0-2.
Sometimes you watch in the game as you see Chad Bradford and Pedro Feliciano getting loose. Sometimes you'll see a batter have a nice at bat against a pitcher, Delgado with the home run off Greg Maddux, and you tend to start to fall in love with that and think to yourself, well, you get a home run off him this game. Well, you know, Maddux made a mistake pitch. He knows he made a mistake pitch. That pitch is not coming again.
Strike 3. 6 strikeouts now for El Duque.
Well, Kelly Stinnett looks like the old Mickey Owen as he has this stance here behind the plate. He is almost standing up, holding that target right at chest level, and El Duque hits it perfectly.
This season, your Tri-State Hyundai dealers and the WB11 team up to help kids strike out cancer. Every strikeout recorded by a Met pitcher will add $100 to the Hope and Heroes Children's Cancer Fund. If you'd like to help, call 212-305-1420 for more information. So 1 out and 1 on for Russell Martin. Martin got it started for the Dodgers in the last inning with a soft single to center. Now, going back to what you just said about Grady Little having it locked in his brain that Delgado hit the home run against Maddux.
Yeah.
If that were the case, though, later in the inning, he decides to pitch to David Wright with first base open with Brett Tomko, against whom Wright had gotten a hard hit double last night.
Well, like I said, when I look at a game, Delgado got the home run off the mistake by Maddux. That happens. But if you've been watching this series, not the game, you're watching this series, David Wright's locked in. All right, so maybe that's a choice as you see Joe Beimel warming up. That's a choice you have to make, and I think right now I'd rather face the left-hander Green with the left-hander pitcher than to face David Wright with a left-hander or a right-hander.
Russell Martin takes the slider away, and Sean Green's been swinging the bat well too. But I just think that David Wright is having the kind of season and is in the kind of stretch right now. If you have the opportunity not to pitch to him with runners in scoring position, you do it.
Yes.
It was a fascinating inning on so many fronts because of all those decisions. 2-0 to Martin. And then throw into the mix what will be ignored, which is the fact that Beltran took the extra base on the fly ball, and that is what has the Mets in the lead right now.
Well, fastball run by Martin, but yes, the base running of Valentin and Carlos Beltran has been overlooked, and it's just outstanding. Now, I'm not talking about stealing bases, I'm talking about what you just said, taking the extra base, being heads up and being aggressive on the bases, just well schooled.
2-1 to Martin. Got out ahead of the breaking ball, and it's 2-2.
That was interesting. Russ Martin looked down at the runner, Ethier, at first after he swung it to slider away. See how he's looking at the runner? It's almost like he's saying, well, wasn't the hit and run on?
Which is the reason, perhaps, that he swung at that pitch. Ethier, the rookie at first, Martin, the rookie at the plate. They have been two key cogs for the Dodgers all year. But again, we talked about this with the Marlins. Youngsters in a race in September for the first time.
Well, I think that's what's happened to the Detroit Tigers also with their great young starting pitching. I've said it here before. My rookie year made it to 200 innings. I was gasping from 180 to 200.
On 2-2, Martin lifts one foul, and that'll make it into the seats. Now, when you talk about staggering those
to the
last
finish line,
20 innings to 200, is that mentally or physically?
It was both, because I was 9-3 in the first half, so obviously I finished 12-9, did not have a great second half. So physically, I was gassed, and mentally, I was fried. So,
that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I had not, I hadn't spent the whole summer in New York playing in front of New York fans and the press. Add that trying to get hitters out.
Martin to right field. Green toward the gap, runs it down, 2 out. And back to first goes Ethier, 2 away. So 2 out as we check out the Lexus National League schedule. Another big one in San Francisco. Giants took the opener of that series last night. The Padres a game and a half in front of the Phillies for the wild card. Phillies trying to make it 3 straight over the Marlins in that series. They'll have Brett Myers on the mound tonight. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati, Chicago at Atlanta, Houston at Milwaukee, Washington at Colorado, St. Louis at Arizona. Great job by Orlando Hernandez last night in the Diamondbacks win, but their goose is just about cooked. Well, James Loney had been out on deck to pinch hit. He's a big power hitting left-hand batter, but with 2 out and a runner at first, Grady Little opts instead for Marlon Anderson. It's interesting.
Yes. I think you would go with the power hitting guy with the guy in first, maybe get yourself a double or maybe even better chance at a home run. But here using, I think, their best left-handed pinch hitter in a situation where there's not a tying run or winning run on second base or in scoring position anyways.
Marlon started the game last night in left field, went 1 for 4. Tying run at first with 2 down. El Duque trying to negotiate the 7th. Still shy of 90 pitches for the day. The Dodgers got both their runs in the 6th, and they were scratch runs. And the changeup misses 2-0. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, our producer Greg Picker, our director Bill Webb with you from Shea Stadium. It's been a fascinating game to watch. Greg Maddux and Orlando Hernandez. Maddux done and on the hook, much to his dismay. El Duque still cooking. 2-0 to Marlon Anderson. Let's turn that ball around into the upper deck. That never happens. 2-1. Oh, let's answer our Dodge trivia question. Jose Valentin, 58 straight games without an error. Who holds the Mets record for consecutive errorless games at second base?
Fonzie, 75 games. Was not called up. He was in AAA with the Mets. Was not called up, of course, with the Mets. And he said he's not going to retire. He's going to play winter ball in Venezuela.
Well, Fonzie in the book is only 33. Broken back grounder, and Valentin handles another errorless chance to keep his streak alive. Leadoff walk by El Duque, but he's having himself another terrific afternoon. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. El Duque with 7 strong innings. And that's called pulling the plug.
Well, he's up this inning. I'm sure he was going to be out anyways. But you could tell by his body language that he was gassed there at the end, but bulled his neck and got that last out.
Well, you rarely get it as definitively as that. So after 91 pitches and 7 tremendous innings, El Duque is done. Joe Beimel on to pitch for the Dodgers. And Cliff Floyd pops one up foul. That'll head toward the seats and go out of play.
Well, Joe Beimel, who throws very hard, another one of their left-handed specialists for the Dodgers. Only player, first player ever drafted out of Duquesne University in Pittsburgh.
Grew up in Pittsburgh, pitched for the Pirates for the better part of 3 years before moving on to Minnesota and Tampa Bay. Aaron Howman up in the Mets bullpen getting ready to pitch the 8th inning. Well, the Mets have got to be thrilled with what El Duque has done these last 2 starts, and thrilled with the decision to sit him out for a couple of starts.
Well, the Mets have a lot of veteran pitchers. As you look at Dave Williams, who's done a great job himself. With Glavine, with Martinez, with Hernandez. And it'd be interesting that sometimes it's serendipitous that things happen that are going to make them maybe stronger in October than they ever would have been if they had to make all their starts.
Vercal had Floyd play perfectly, and there's one away. Oh, this fall, Jim Belushi brings his Laugh Out Loud family comedy According to Jim to the new CW11. 5 days a week, join regular guy Jim as he deals with family life in his own hilarious way. According to Jim, weekdays at 6:30 starting September 18th, right here on the new CW11. Kelly Stinnett 1 for 2 in his first start for the Mets this year. El Duque in line for his 10th win of the year if the Mets bullpen can make it stand up.
and 8th with the Mets. I mean, giving him a chance before the end of the season. Probably has 3 more starts to get to 10 wins. What an acquisition when you can get a guy in May, at the end of May, and he wins 10 games for you.
It's not quite Rick Sutcliffe.
Oh, gee. Was he 15-1 that year? 16-1?
16-1.
Jeez.
Going from the Indians to the Cubs. Slowly hit for a call with time with Stinnett running. And they're 2 out. So 2 out and nobody on. Let's see who comes to bat. Nobody has emerged as of yet. And here comes Lastings Millage.
Lastings, one of the hitters this morning that had the duty of hitting against Pedro Martinez at 10-15. Lastings, Anderson Hernandez, and Ricky Leday, the 3 hitters.
Somebody asked Willie Randolph after Pedro's session, now, can you tell anything from the actions of the hitters how Pedro was doing? And Willie just shook his head and said, facing Pedro at 10 in the morning, can't tell anything. Millage started last night in left field and went 0 for 3.
Well, when the Mets were in St. Petersburg and they used to train at the old Huggins Stengel Field, used to have a lot of 10 o'clock spring training games against the St. Louis Cardinals. And boy, did you love to pitch those games. Hitters trying to wipe the sleep out of their eyes. No one really going at it 100% except the pitchers.
I remember when Eric Milton threw his no-hitter for the Twins against the Angels. It was a September game, played at 11 o'clock in the morning at the Metrodome because they had a University of Minnesota football game that night. Anytime you play before noon, I think the pitcher probably has an advantage. Two and one. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in the International League now, they play getaway games at 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning for travel purposes.
So they can leave that night in the last flight, I guess.
Right at Jeff Kent. Bobbles and loses the play. That will delight the Shea fans who have been booing Kent throughout the series.
This just looked awkward the entire time. Little juggling act by Kent, and then he realized that in that clock that infielders have, that Lastings Millage is running, and got to get rid of it a little quicker, and he bobbles it one last time.
7th error of the year for Kent. Well, this was 10 o'clock this morning. Pedro Martinez throwing a 4-inning simulated game. Yeah, it was what didn't feel very simulated for Lastings Millage.
See that little fence there? Little backstop.
Millage picked off. Garcia Parra with the throw, out at second base. For a call with the tag, Millage took off a little too soon. 1-3-6 on the caught stealing, and that ends the inning. We move on to the 8th here at Shea. Mets with a 1-run lead. We'll turn it over to Aaron Howman.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling Mats and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mats.
Changes for the Mets as we go to the 8th inning. Andy Chavez takes over in left field for defense, and Aaron Howman comes on to protect a 1-run lead.
Well, tough opportunity here for Aaron Howman. These are the kind of situations he's going to see in October. Coming in, trying to bridge the gap to Wagner, facing the opposition's 1, 2, and 3 hitters for Carl, who's had a nice series so far.
For Carl, doubled to lead off the ball game, and then Orlando Hernandez proceeded to retire the next 15 in a row. Dodgers scratched out a couple of runs, helped out by a Furcal sacrifice in the 6th. So Rafi's 1 for 2 on the night, and he grounds one to Valentin on the backhand, 1 away. 1 pitch, 1 out for Howman.
Boy, Valentin, he just has some soft hands, nice and smooth, sets up, fires that ball to first. Delgado loved it too. That looks like an easy play in the scorecard. That was not an easy play. For Carl's running, he's got a lot of speed. You got to charge that ball. And Jose likes it too.
So the errorless string continues for Valentine. And here's Kenny Lofton, who drove in the tying run with a base hit in the 6th inning. Combine the pitching lines for El Duque these last 2 starts in Houston and today. 12 1/3 innings, 5 hits, and only 2 earned runs. 1-1 to Lofton. I mean, that's just phenomenal for a guy who had a tired arm and needed a break, and he has come back very, very strong. Another chance for Valentine. 2 out. And the Lexus American League schedule, only 1 day game. How are there only 3 day games in the major leagues on a beautiful September afternoon? The Yankees are in Baltimore, sporting a 9-game lead. The important games are in Chicago, in Minnesota, where the White Sox trail the Twins by 1/2 and the Tigers by 4.5. Big crowd here at Shea on a gorgeous Saturday. 1-0 to Nomar Garciaparra. The season is rapidly drawing toward a finish. The Mets only have 1 more homestand left after this weekend. They go to Florida and Pittsburgh. They come home for 8 games, and then they finish the season on the road in Atlanta and Washington. Off the end of the bat, Delgado makes the play himself, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Aaron Heilman, a dominant inning on 3 ground balls. So Aaron Heilman does his setup job, and it's 3-2 Mets. Home 8th inning, Mets will look for some insurance against Joe Beimel, who looked impressive in the 7th.
The shortstop.
Check out the Toyota line score. Mets have managed just 6 hits today, but that's been enough. Carlos Delgado, a 2nd inning home run. David Wright, 2-run single in the 6th. And now the Mets will look to tack on with the top of the batting order against Beimel in the 8th. Reyes 0 for 3. Tries to push a bunt and fouls it off.
Like to see that. That means he's playing, he's thinking about the inning. Jose Reyes is saying to himself, somehow we got to scratch out a run here some way. Play a little small ball. Didn't work out there, but it's a good idea.
To right center, Lofton got a late start back near the fence. He can't get it. It bounces over the wall for a ground rule double. The Dodgers going to break there, because if that ball had stayed in play, Reyes easily would have had a triple. Kenny Lofton has never been the best tracker of fly balls, and now he doesn't run quite as well as he used to.
Well, he was fooled by this ball because Reyes hit it off his front foot, came in first, and then could not recover, like you said, Gary. Does not have the speed he wants to. See how he hit that off his front foot? I think Lofton thought that was going to be a little more of a humpback liner, but Reyes got more of it than he thought.
He's stronger than people think. You look at Reyes and his speed, you don't realize just how big he is.
And that'll be the key for him, I think, as a shortstop and his position and his speed, is that he's going to get a lot stronger, but he's going to have to make sure that he keeps those muscles long and lean, does not get too of those big, bulky muscles.
Dodgers look for the bunt with Valentine. In the air, Garciaparra's got it. Not what Valentine intended. 1 away. Well, if you thought Major League Baseball was competitive, wait till you see what these 13 fame-hungry beauties will do to be crowned America's Next Top Model. Join Tyra Banks for an all-new season of America's Next Top Model, premiering Wednesday, September 20th at 8 on the all-new CW11. My kid's favorite show in the world.
That's the Tyra Banks show, right?
Yep. Well, she's got her talk show.
Yeah, but this is
the show. I mean, they will not miss an episode.
This is the one where they have judges and they've got to do different things and get prepared for photo shoots with animals and all that kind of stuff.
It's American Idol for models.
Yeah.
Billy Wagner getting ready to try and save it for New York. Carlos Beltran 0 for 2 and a very important intentional walk that represented the lead run in this game. And they always talk about the book.
Yeah.
And the book says you don't put the lead run on base. And that's what the Dodgers did by walking Beltran. And sure enough, he scored the lead run.
Well, there's a lot of decisions in that inning. Maybe the best decision was not to make one at all.
I think Maddux has calmed down yet. Beltran scored that run in the 6th inning. It was his 117th run scored. It leads the National League and now just 6 shy of the Mets club record. 123 runs scored, set by Edgardo Alfonso. Jonathan Broxton up in the Dodger bullpen. There goes Reyes. Martin's throw, not in time. And Benjamin did well to keep that ball from going down the line. Number 57 for Reyes, who was thrown out by Martin trying to steal third last night.
Got a little bigger jump here. And Martin with the bad throw. And Benjamin kind of lucky to come up with that pick. Great play to keep it in front, or that would have been a run scored for Jose Reyes. Nice timing of a steal. Really thinking Jose Reyes about this inning today.
Infield in for Beltran. Count 1-1. There's a strike. Martin had Reyes scrambling.
Remember, you take your lead in foul territory in case the ball hits you. You're not out. And you go back in fair territory. That way you're between the catcher and the third baseman.
2-1 to Beltran, and now they're going to walk him intentionally. So after falling behind in the count, they'll set up the double play by walking Beltran and bring up Delgado. Well, they tried it once before, and it blew up on them. Beltran gets the intentional pass, his second of the game.
First baseman, Carlos Delgado.
Well, Delgado's last at bat, as you look at Grady Hill against Tim Hamuak, he just missed hitting his second home run of the day against the left-handed Hamuak.
Well, they've got Broxton up in the bullpen to face Wright, so this will be Beimel's last batter. Beimel hoping to get the double play and render that moot. Delgado hoping just to get that run in from third and give the Mets a little breathing room for Billy Wagner. That is a balk move. That's an absolute balk move.
They just do not call it against left-handers. It's simple as that. We can explain it all we want, but see that knee going past the left knee? When you do that, you are instructed that you have to throw the ball home, because that's deceiving the runner.
If Bob Davidson were here, that would have been called.
He would have called it when he hit mid-knee, not before he threw it.
And it would seem to me, from Beimel's throw to first and the way he kind of rocked his body on that last pitch, that he's a little preoccupied with Beltran at first base.
And as a pitcher, you cannot be preoccupied when you got a hitter this hot at the plate. All concentration on Delgado.
Good fastball, 1-1.
Outfield very deep.
Delgado hit his 37th home run back in the second inning. Now has 101 RBIs. And Beimel gets ahead of him 1-2.
Well, Martin wants this fastball. You see the fastball grip. He wants it outside corner, but it's drifting back over the inside part. And that, honestly, is a better place to pitch Delgado, up and in at the belt. He has a little hole there. The ball out over the plate is one he can get hurt on.
Delgado needs to make contact here on 1 and 2. Trying to get that run in from third. To third base. That might be a double play. Kent with the turn. In time double play. Side retired. So Bible gets himself out of the jam. And so Billy Wagner will inherit just a 1-run lead as we go to the 9th at Shea. Billy Wagner will bid for his 36th save of the year as we go to the 9th inning. The Mets wrap up their series with the Dodgers tomorrow at 1:10. After the road trip, the Mets return to Shea on September 18th for the first of 4 against the Marlins. Take the trainer water taxi to the game. For information on mass transit service to Shea, go to Mets.com. Billy last pitched in game 1 of the doubleheader against the Braves on Wednesday when he got save number 35.
Well, going for his 36th save. And I think that if he has a hot last 3 weeks, he jumps into that Cy Young race also.
J.D. Drew leads off and takes a strike. Well, there's no clear-cut starting pitcher candidate for Cy Young, and that's when they typically look to the bullpens.
Carpenter jumped out for a while. Zambrano jumped out for a while. Penny coming off a tough start.
Wagner has 35 saves. 13 of them have come when he's handed just a 1-run lead. Trying to make that 14 today. Only Trevor Hoffman and Jonathan Papelbon have had more 1-run saves than Wagner. Ahead on Drew 0-2. Just misses with the slider. 1-2.
Well, nice pitching. 0-2, just going out about 6-8 inches outside, trying to see if Drew will go out of the strike zone.
The second base. A lot of chances for Valentine. 1 away. 4 of the last 5 outs have been on ground balls to Valentine. We check out the Jeep game summary. David Wright, the 2-run single in the 6th that has the Mets in front. El Duque magnificent today. Greg Maddux had himself a lead briefly, but came out of the game prematurely in the 6th, and he's on the hook.
Would you take that line for El Duque in October about 2 or 3 times?
Every single time. Here's Jeff Kent. 0 for 3 today. 1 for 6 in his career against Wagner. .98 miles an hour, ball 1. Takashi Saito, the Dodger closer, up just in case. There's a strike. 1-1. Olmedo Signs has come out on deck as a pinch hitter for Andre Ethier to get a right-hand hitter up against Wagner. Mets trying for their 88th win of the year, trying to get their magic number down to 6. There's a strike. 1-2. 99 on the gun. He has thrown so much harder over the last 5 or 6 weeks.
And with more work.
1-2 to Kent. In the dirt with a slider. 2-2.
Kind of gave that one away a little bit. That's one of the first times I've ever seen him do that. He got a little more on top of that, which changed the arm slot, which means he threw it in the dirt. And I think he was probably thinking that he had that 1-2 advantage. He wanted to make sure that he threw that one in the dirt and didn't hang it to Kent.
Kent's always a threat. Check swing. Did he go? No. Ryan Gorman at first base gave him a pass. It's 3-2.
Well, nasty slaughter down and into Kent. Got to be awfully strong to hold that bat back on that pitch.
Jeff Kent in amber. Still alive.
You know, I was talking to Keith once when we were doing the game here. We were talking about guys in our era that were tough to get out in RBI situations. We're talking about Steve Garvey, Tony Perez. Well, I think Jeff Kent in his era has been that kind of hitter.
A consistent 100 RBI guy as a middle infielder. Haven't been too many of those in big league history. Toward the gap in left center field. That's a base hit for Kent. Beltran over to cut it off, and he'll hold Kent to a single. So the Dodgers have the tying run aboard with 1 out, and Olmedo Signs will come up to pinch hit.
Well, slider from Wagner on this pitch. Stays out over the middle of the plate. Jams Kent just enough.
Your attention, please.
Or just a little bit. Gets that right in the gap. Was thinking of trying to go for 2, but good play by Beltran getting to it so quickly.
Kent will come out for a pinch runner. Jason Repko will run for him. Signs, the veteran pinch hitter. Very dangerous. 10 home runs this year. Don't let the squatty body fool you.
This guy can rake.
It's a latter-day Smokey Burgess.
Yeah.
Nothing in 1.
Gates Brown.
It's great pinch hitters of the past. You know, Lenny Harris was not the power guy that those guys were, but he had the same kind of body at the end of his career. Lenny, the all-time pinch hit leader, but Signs is a guy you really have to be careful with. Slider misses, 1-1. Wagner with a couple of days off since his last assignment. Trying today for his 36th save. David Wright guarding the line at third base. Extra base hit could tie the game. Repko a fast man at first. Wagner looks in on him. Pinstripes, blue hats, Saturday afternoon. The Dodgers in town. Traditional day of baseball at Shea. Yeah, this has been a great game. Slider misses, 2-1.
Well, we saw at the beginning with the starters, we saw the finesse way of pitching, and that is judging the hitters, how they're swinging at you, trying to make adjustments in the strike zone. Well, it's totally opposite with Billy Wagner. It's all about my stuff is better than your stuff, and if I execute my pitches, you're done.
And in between, we saw a great relief job by Aaron Heilman, dominant for his inning of work. That's hoping at turn 2 on the infield. Signs is very slow. And it's 2-2. You get a ground ball from Signs. It's almost an automatic double play. Jonathan Broxton, Takashi Saito, hoping the Dodgers can get this game at least tied. 1 out, top of the 9th. 2-2 to Signs. Fouled it back. Kent was able to keep his at bat alive and then got the base hit. Signs trying to do the same. Repko leads. And now it's 3-2 to Signs. Kelly Stinnett and Billy Wagner working together for the first time.
I was just thinking to myself, a month from now, it's going to be about 55 degrees, 50 degrees maybe. Cool fall day, 57 to 60,000 people in this place going nuts in this similar situation.
If they do well enough, it could be 35 degrees before we're done. 3-2 with one out. Repko running, struck him out. Throw by Stinnett, tagged him out, and the ball game is over. Brady Little makes one more decision that blows up in his face, and the Mets win it. How do you send the runner with Billy Wagner on the mound?
Striking out almost 12 for 9 innings.
A one-run save for Billy Wagner. The 14th time he's done that this year, and his 36th save overall, just one behind Trevor Hoffman for the league lead. And the Mets reduce their magic number to 6.
Well, great job of Wagner with the strikeout here of Signs, but Kelly Stinnett with a base hit in his first start in 11 years and a throw him out at second base. Picture perfect. Short arm throw.
So the Mets win it 3-2 as El Duque picks up his 10th win of the year, his 8th as a Met. We'll be back in Shea in a moment. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Hyundai. Take the Hyundai Challenge. Visit the HyundaiChallenge.com. By T-Mobile. Get more minutes, more features, more service. By Jeep. Check out the #1 selling brand of SUVs in the Northeast. By Washington Mutual. Stop by and experience the WAMU way. And by Lexus and their passionate pursuit of perfection. Mets win it 3-2. David Wright, 3 for 3, including the game-winning hit. This was a marvelous game to watch.
It was a great game to watch, watching two fine pitchers. A lot of decisions for the Dodgers did not go the right way. And Willie Randolph, because of the job by El Duque with 7 great innings, Heilman and Wagner did not have to make as many decisions as they pitched brilliantly.
Be sure to join us for our next broadcast tomorrow on the WB11. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock as the Mets play the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now stay tuned for the CW preview special. It was the old war horses El Duque and Maddux on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and they were both terrific. Carlos Delgado got the Mets the early lead with his 37th home run of the year. El Duque retired 15 in a row to make it stand up for a while, but ultimately the Mets would need David Wright's 2-run single, and they win it 3-2. For Ron Darling, I'm Gary Cohen. So long from Shea.